Get this, you've just finished your favorite show, movie, book, even comics. And one of the things that stand out the most to you is the costume. But not just regular costume made of fabric. The armor. For me, it's one of the most fascinating things about a character. It's the armor. For instance, in the show Fairy Tale, one of my favorite shows, Urza Scarlet has almost an infinite amount of armor that I personally would love to create. But, of course, many people have a starting point, just like I did. What I'd like to do is help you create your own foam armor in 3 easy steps. Those steps are your materials, preparing your materials, and assembling. First, let's go over the materials. For any good project, you'll need to know what you'll need to move forward. When I first started, I had no idea what I was doing or what I needed. It took up until the 3rd try to get something that actually resembled armor. After watching cosplayers on social media, I have learned some of what the materials are for creating armor. According to the professional cosplayer Can We Cosplay, EVA foam is one of the best options for all levels. I recommend Yaya Han's foam that you can find at any Joann's. EVA foam is a little sturdier than your regular craft foam. I also learned that super glue, it's no-go. It just doesn't stick. Believe me, I've tried. Contact cement is what is highly recommended. Of course, with the proper ventilation. That stuff's strong. I also recommend Plasti-Dip, which I have right here. This is to coat the armor before you actually start painting it. You will also need a heat gun, utility knife, Dremel, of course with the bits, spray paint. I like to use Rust-Oleum, sandpaper, and the pattern. You can find foam armor patterns at Can We Cosplay's store, even on Etsy. If you're needing a specific way, you will need to get plastic wrap and duct tape to wrap around the area of your body, then draw on the pattern before freeing yourself. This brings us to our second step, preparing your materials. Now, preparation is easy once you have all of your materials. Most of the preparation is cutting. This is where you'll be cutting out your patterns. But, of course, keep everything organized. I recommend labeling each little piece so that way you know where everything goes. Organization is key. It's of key of importance. Don't be me and accidentally lose or throw out your pattern pieces. That's what can stall a project. When you cut out your pattern pieces of the foam, ensure you have something underneath to protect the surface so that way you don't cut it. Be sure to take your time with cutting. With the thicker foam, if you cut too fast, you'll end up at an awkward angle, which in turn will lead you to need to fill it with a sealant. The sealant that is usually recommended is caulk. If you have everything cut out and set accordingly, you're ready for the third step. Time to assemble. During assembly, you must remember to have proper ventilation. The contact cement, again, is very strong. Using sandpaper, you'll want to sand the edges. Just make them a little smoother. And this is where you will carefully use the contact cement, but you will also hold the two pieces together for about a minute or so. Once it is dry, the only way to pull it apart is by tearing it. Once you have all your pieces glued together, go ahead with the Dremel, and I do recommend using one of the little sandpaper bits. I normally use the very rough, the very coarse ones. So you can see here, you can see how coarse it is off the side. You will use the Dremel to round out the edges, blend in the seams, put in any other details that you might need. You will also be using the heat gun to shape. You will go in and use the heat gun to warm it up. Don't overheat it, but warm it up just enough that you can mold it, warp it even. And you will go ahead and warp it to your body. You finally have everything glued together, sanded, ready to go. Next, you'll take everything outside. Because again, ventilation is highly important. Once you are outside, take your Plastidip, spray the armor down, coat it, 1 or 2 layers. Once that has dried, then you're ready to spray paint. You'll do as many layers as you need of the spray paint, and once that's dry, you're almost done. Go ahead, take your acrylic paint, your Sharpies, whatever, and start putting in some of the finer details. So in conclusion, making armor, it may be difficult, but with the right materials, good preparation, and the basic assembly knowledge, you can move forward in creating your own set of foam armor and bringing to life some of your favorite shows.